should you invest or pay down debt? I get this question, I would say, at least once a month. And in reality, there's kind of an argument for both sides, especially when it comes to something like student loan debt. You see, on one hand, you have these compounding student loan debt interest rates where every single month where you don't pay it down, that interest can begin to essentially like build, and kind of bring down your overall net worth. And then on the other side, if you're investing and the market's doing great, then that net worth is going up and you've got that compound interest working in your favor. Now, specifically, when we're talking about student loans, some people just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Paying down debts, investing, there's just not enough money to go around, and there's a lot of factors to keep in mind, variables that, even money experts like myself need a little help and advice when it comes to paying down student loan debt. So today, I want to share with you an expert. His name is Andrew Paulson, and he runs a website called studentloanadvice.com. I thought I could turn over a question like this to him, get some input, and also sort of pick his brain on, if you've got some student loan debt, but you also have some money to invest, what should you do? And if you like videos like this, please don't forget to drop a like and consider joining our private Discord group. I'll leave a link down below in the description. All right, we've got Andrew waiting on the line, so let's not keep him waiting. You're not going to want to miss this. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Rich, pleasure to be here. Happy to join.
Yeah, now one of the questions that a lot of people are probably wondering, but a little bit scared of, is that what's it called? Public student loan forgiveness?
Public service loan forgiveness.
Public service loan forgiveness. So, is it a good idea? You're the expert. Take it away.
Yeah. So, and I know this question's going to kill people, but it depends, right? It really depends on your unique situation. There's a number of factors, but I do think that if you're a candidate for public service loan forgiveness, from a financial perspective, the numbers would almost always work out in your favor. And then, above all, the program is working. They've made some big strides, actually pretty recently, to make the PSLF program easier to reach, because I know there's tons of articles out there that PSLF success rate is 2%, 3%. So, a lot of these academic financial advisors for people have been telling people this doesn't work, and it's far from the truth, because the program does work, but you do have to be detail oriented and pretty meticulous about it. So our clients of mine doing that, yes, and it does work for some, but it's not for everybody.
Well, I appreciate both sides of the argument there, because a guy like myself, being in the educational field, I was lucky in the sense where I was able to pay off my student loans, and it was actually before any of this forgiveness was offered. My wife's in the same boat, but I wanted to kind of cherry pick my brother-in-law as an example. And you can kind of like case study this, or kind of generalize, but he's about 35. He's a doctor, so he was going to school, maybe 10 years after, I started my profession. And I'm sure a lot of people who are in medicine, maybe dentists, they're in this same boat, hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. So let's say he calls you up, he's ready for his consultation. Like, what would that look like? Maybe you could kind of walk us through each step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, step number one is somebody's going to go onto the site, studentloanadvice.com, and they're going to set up a time for us to meet. And, right away they would get sent an alert email that has a questionnaire on there that's going to ask a little bit about, what's your income? What do you do for a living? If you're a doctor or a dentist, do you have a particular specialty, or you're an attorney? What do you do? Do you have a training period? Are you married? What state do you live in? Do you have kids? How much do you owe? Obviously, how much do you owe in student loans? Right. What's the breakdown versus federal and private? And does your spouse have student loans? Are you contributing to retirement? How are you filing your taxes? Are you single, married, filing jointly, married, filing separately? So we take that first, and so they'll fill out that questionnaire a couple of days before we meet. And then, instantly after doing a couple hundred of these calls, we can identify, items right away that, okay, we've got to fix this, we got to fix that. Here's a couple little things that we can tweak, that we would then talk about on our one-on-one student loan consultation. So then, what does the 1 hour student loan consultation with one of our experts consist of? It's, the first 15 minutes, we just go over your goals, any questions and concerns, really anything that's kind of right on your chest that you just need to get out. I really like to kind of turn the time over to clients because, or even, what has their experience been with their loan servicer, because I know that there's some frustration around that. And, from there, we really get into the details on the different repayment plans, some customized calculations for you, talk about loan forgiveness, we talk about refinancing, we talk about if consolidation is a good thing for you, and just some other kind of common pitfalls that I see other clients going through. And then once we get you lined up with the optimal repayment plan, whether it's public service loan forgiveness or it's private refinancing or some alternative to that, then we'll, the last 10 minutes or so, we just try to make sure that you have a clear path moving forward, and the consultation within the hour. And then you get a recap email that has a calculator, essentially the customized student loan plan that we put together for you, so that you can go back, play with numbers if you're interested in that. We also have advice and recommendations on the recap email. And then one of our client favorites is you also get 6 months of email follow-up. So, if the government ends up extending, the repayment pause, for like the 8th or 10th time, however many times they've done it again, that they can reconnect and, ask questions on their situation again.
Yeah, well, I think that would be helpful for somebody who's like just their head's spinning, because you just mentioned 10, 12, maybe a dozen different things to consider. Where you live, if you're married, what type of loans do you have? Did you already consolidate? So let me pose to you, and this is, going to be a tough question, but somebody with student loans, somebody who's also making some good money, maybe they meet with you and you've saved them a few thousand a year. So should you invest or pay down student loans? Like, what's your take?
Yeah, and there is people on all ends of the spectrum on this, because it really depends on how you feel about debt. And, this student loan debt, it doesn't have some asset behind it. The asset is your brain, effectively, that you took this out so that you could, get educated and become an attorney or whatever you're doing for a living. Where, it's very different with a mortgage, where, if you don't pay on your mortgage, they take your house. Right. But I think I stand a little bit in the middle of the pack on this, where I'm a huge advocate for you to pay yourself first and pay down your student loans. And by pay yourself first, that means investing. Whether that's putting that money into a retirement account, it's putting it into a brokerage account, it's putting it into real estate, whatever your preferred, type of investment account, and paying down your student loan debt. And I like that because it's attacking, it's helping your net worth in two ways. Number one, it's building your nest egg. And number two, on the debt pay down side, this is getting you back to broke, or it is eliminating that negative net worth that perhaps many people have when they get done with student loan, when they get done with college. Mm-hmm. But and the reason why I'm not a huge advocate of maybe doing the long-term pay down on student loans, because interest rates are really low on student loans right now. You could get a 2.5% to 3% interest rate on a 20-year term. A lot of people salivate over that, and they're like, well, I can make 10% a year in the market, or I can make 10% a year on my real estate investments. But the thing that I always go back to is that the return in the market is not guaranteed. We know that, risk-adjusted returns over time, it's like 7%, right? But there will be times that the market will go down. There's going to be corrections. I know we haven't had one since 08 or 09, and we had the blip in 2020, just from the COVID scare. But, the point that people make is, if I'm only going to pay 3% of interest on my student loans, and I can make 7% in the market, well, I can make 4% on that. But the difficult part is people being disciplined to use that money that they would be putting towards their student loans, and they're actually putting that in whatever type of investment. And if you can, okay, right, you could hold me to the fire, and you could do that and make the case for that. But I'm definitely in that camp of, if I had $2,000 of income that I could use for student loans or for investing in the market, I'd probably put that first half in the market and then the second half towards my student loans.
Yeah, and as a reminder, like this question kind of coming full circle was the interest rate that you have on the loans may have compounded and will continue as you're paying it down, but almost in reverse because you're paying it down. But likewise, if the market is up and you're investing, and you just mentioned 3% on the student loans, average of 10% on the investments, now you have compound interest working in your favor. And nothing is stronger than the gift of time. So that first $1,000 that you put in and then you pay down the debt, there's that pinnacle moment where you just kind of like swoop up that beautiful graph of the net worth increasing. So I'm in the same camp as you. I never advocate for just, taking as long as possible to pay off debt, but along those same lines too, education is power. That's how you become that net worth millionaire, whether it's through property or investing. So I love that answer. Before we wind this thing down, if people do want to connect with you more or they have some follow-up questions, where is the best place for them to go to reach out to you to ask those questions?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's studentloanadvice.com, our namesake, right on there. We have a blog. You can connect with me right through the website. Should you have other questions, or frankly, you're just trying to scope, hey, does my situation end up working for the types of services that you provide? We're also on social media. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and I've also got a LinkedIn. So
sounds great. And I'll leave a link to the website down in the show notes. Also, folks, this is a little bit of a different kind of interview for us. If you liked it, please leave us a comment down below. And Andrew, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Rich.
Absolutely. And guys, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe. As always, I'm Rich, and until next time.